Carroll bringing it forward. Thompson's making the run. Carroll hangs on to it though. Still Davy Carroll. Could go all the way here. Oh, what a goal!
I don't know what it is that makes me love you so. I only know I never wanna let you go. 'Cause you started something, don't you see? That ever since we met you had a hold on me. It happens to be true. I only wanna be with you.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Ringing the Blues. On this week's show, we've got all the action and reaction from that game against Northampton Town at Adams Park on Saturday. Peter Slater, the football reporter, has clocked up a big milestone at the game against Wigan at Adams Park last week. We spoke to him about that. Plus, Wycombe Wanderers fan Simon Rumble joins us on Till Death Us Do Part. But first, let's head to Mexico City for the full Liga One results with Uri.
We are ringing the blues from Mexico City. It's me, Uri, and here are the results for League One. Barnsley 0, Cheltenham Town 0, Derby County 1, Bolton Wanderers 0, Exeter City 1, Burton Albion 0, Fleetwood Town 1, Charlton Athletic 1, Lincoln City 5, Bristol Rovers 0, Peterborough United 0, Portsmouth 1, Port Vale 0, Oxford United 2, Reading 4, Cambridge United 0, Shrewsbury Town 1, Carlisle United 0, Stevenage 0, Leyton Orient 1, Wigan Athletic 1, Blackpool 0, Wycombe Wanderers 2, Northampton Town 0. So Wycombe's third win in a row saw them climb into the top half of the Liga One table. So Chairboys Spanish this week, climbing the league table. How do we say league? Liga. How do we say table? Well, table, the place where you eat, the surface where you eat, we say mesa. But table, in terms of a ranking, we say tabla. Table, tabla. And how do we say climb? Well, we say escalar, like escalate. So, climbing the league table, escalando la tabla de la liga. Chairboys Spanish this week, I'm back to England with my amigo Filiberto Cachapollos. Adios!
Busy week of stuff going on off the pitch in the build-up to this game, but Wycombe Wanderers could climb above their opponents Northampton with a win at Adams Park. Joe Jacobson joined us on commentary, and here's what happened. Welcome to the Bill Turnbull Gantry live commentary of Wycombe Wanderers taking on Northampton Town in League One. The battle for 12th place as it stands, because Wycombe can overtake the Cobblers today if they get the 3 points. And if they do win today, Wycombe, it will be their third consecutive victory in the league. Salby into the feet of Bowie. Bowie has the ball taken away from him by Tapazoli, then runs forwards to big centre-back. He's still going.
Keep going,
and now Taylor has it. Tapazoli in the middle, they go to the left-hand side. Taft's waiting here on the edge of the 6-yard box. Sadlier cuts it back on his right foot, looking for Kajua, who's coming in late. It's not often you see Tapazoli sort of bringing the ball forwards like that and then continuing the run into the penalty area. Sads drifts in the corner now, headed clear by Moore. Drops to Kajua on the edge of the area, sets it to Potts. Potts goes to goal! Great strike, good save. Still in play, Tapazoli has it. Goes back to Kajua now, Ryan winds up a right-footed cross. It's deflected, but it goes to Labala. Labala back to goal, sets it back to Leahy, into the box looking for Taylor, headed clear by Guthrie. Back in by Leahy, Moore heads clear, but Monte then gets something on it. And it's handball against Bowie. What a strike by Freddie Potts. Dale Taylor makes way for Josh going. Yep. So Josh goes into that 10.
I think what they'll do, rather than play two kind of sitters and 1 10, I think they'll they'll have Potsy sitting and Butch and Josh Scowen playing as two kind of eights who can join the attack and, you know, get some people closer to, well, it was Bez, but now to Richard Kone, and, you know, see if they can.
Yeah, so Kajura's come off, which I think means Bez has gone to the right and Kone through the middle. Scowen like for like with for Dale.
Well, like I said, rather than being 2 and a 1 in front, they're now 1 with a 2 in front, and, you know, it allows Butch and Joshy to make runs forward, which they both do really, really well into the channels behind kind of the full-back area. And you know, probably seen that we only need 1 in there with Potsy, who can get on the ball and dictate it a little bit, and just forces their centre mids back a little bit more because we've got a couple more players in there.
Butcher can't find Kone either. A bit more head tennis. Sadly, brings it down. Now he finds Kone. Kone on the left-hand side sets off towards the penalty area. Curls in a beautiful ball to the back post. Lavala arrives to second too late for that one. But intelligent stuff there from Kone. Ravazoli clears cross field, looking for Longvik. Moore gets up and wins the header. The cheers you can hear are because McWilliams has sliced the ball out of play. Thrown to Wycombe, taken quickly. Butcher goes for goal. Yes! Goal. What a goal from Matt Butcher!
What a strike!
Left footed into the bottom corner. The throw-in was taken quickly from Sadlier from the edge of the area. Butcher has found the bottom corner for his second Chairboys goal. This time on the grass. Wycombe 1, Northampton 0.
Yeah, great strike. I think was it Sads, the ball gets sliced out of play, and Luke's on the halfway line looking at a different ball, and Sads picks one up, throws it quickly into Butch, who drives forward through the middle of the midfield, and yeah, it was a great strike into the far bottom corner. The ball didn't really move, similar to the goal he scored at Bradford actually, from a similar position, and, you know, great strike into the bottom far corner. And, you know, it's been a scrappy game, but without too much quality, I'd say, but that's that one bit of magic we've seen today, and it produces a goal.
And also Butcher further forwards after that tactical change from the double sub joke.
Look, if we'd have only spoken about that and knew that was going to happen, but yeah, that's allowed it. I think with Butch in the first half, he was sitting alongside Potsy, and now he's got Joshy alongside him, who they can both flex in between being number 10s, being number 8s, sitting in if they need to, and they're both very intelligent players. And, you know, he was able there to know that he can go forward, having Potsy and Joshy behind him as security, and, you know, thankfully it produced a goal for us.
Farina, who's gone to the right of the back four as right centre back, so Longvik shifts across, and Franco clears from outside his area and releases Sadlier. Sadlier, who's twisting and turning now against McGowan on the left hand side, cuts back onto his right, cuts it back to Butcher. Oh yes!
Oh, what a goal!
Matt Butcher gets his second of the game, curls it deliciously over the keeper. It hits the post and the net bulges. Wycombe 2, Northampton Town 0. Matt Butcher take a bow. Leahy crossfield with the free kick. The referee blows the full-time whistle. Wycombe Wanderers 3 wins on the trot in League One. Season go up to 12th place as it stands on 50 points. 15 points clear of the bottom 4, Joe. I think we can finally stop looking over our shoulder now and start looking ahead now. Yeah,
I mean, look, there was a spell where we were a little bit nervous about what was behind us, but I think the last few weeks we've kind of stepped away from that. Performances have been way better. Yeah, there's been some nervy moments in games, but I think overall we've been quite solid and you know, deserved the victories that we've had. And today again, I don't really think Northampton caused us too many problems at all. Did we cause them too many problems for the first half? Probably not, but after the first goal went in, I think we're in total control, and it was only us that was going to go and get the second and maybe the third and fourth. So a really good performance in the end, and we'll look back at this and think it was solid. And, you know, is that the first double we've done over someone this season with Northampton?
I don't think it is. I can't remember who else we've done a double over. I think Bristol Rovers we've done the double.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, so there we go.
So yeah, a really good result, a lot of good performances, and 2 really, really good goals from Matt Butcher. From Pat.
We mentioned it in the commentary, Joe, but the double sub for Matt Bloomfield at that point, early on in the second half, really paid dividends.
It did, yeah, and like we talked about, there wasn't really much going on in the game before that. There was just, you know, it was a bit scrappy, the ball wouldn't settle for anyone, no one was kind of taking any risks or committing too many men forward, and, you know, it took the double substitution players to come on who want to go and attack, and I think, you know, especially putting Josh and Butch a little bit further forward, that they can get closer to the 9, which at that point was Richard Kone. And look, Rich, you know, didn't necessarily win a lot of flick-ons, but he made it really awkward for Liam Moore and the Northampton defence, and managed to then get a lot of the platform a lot higher up the pitch for us in the last half an hour, and that's where the goals came from.
There we are then, full-time score here at Adams Park. The words of Joe Jacobson there, wrapping things up. Wycombe Wanderers 2, Northampton Town 0. Have a great weekend, everybody. Gaffer, 3 wins on the bounce, you must be buzzing.
Yeah, delighted, really proud, really pleased, to follow Tuesday night up with another result at home. 2 fantastic goals from Butch. Obviously really, really chuffed, mate.
50 points on the board too.
Yeah, 50 points on the board, but we want more. It felt like we were in the 30s for a long time, and we've been able to get through the 40s really, really quickly, which is nice. You know, I've spoken loads of times about wanting our performances to align with the results, and we've started to move towards that a lot more recently. So, really, really pleased, but it just feeds the enthusiasm and hunger for more, and I want to have this feeling more often.
It was a tight game, but you must be delighted that the double sub in the second half really changed things for Wycombe.
Yeah, it did. I thought it was actually a tight game. I think Northampton came with a game plan, and which is fair enough, and we found them hard to break down at times. Very stop-start game, I thought. And I just felt like we needed an injection of energy. Josh's distances were really, really high Saturday, Tuesday, so we had to be careful with him. But I knew that last half an hour we had someone who would come and inject real life. And Rich as well has found his game time a little bit limited recently, but I just think coming in the building he had a real spike. And then obviously adapting to full-time football, he's looked a little bit jaded recently, so we've tried to protect him and brought him on today, and I thought they had a real big effect. But the whole team, what they've put in, the whole squad this week, for the finishers, I said to before the game that it might come from them, and I'm just really, really proud of the group.
No, Joe Lowe and Tafazoli went off in the second half as well, but then Lonvike and Farino, I've said it to you before, but we're really seeing the benefits of this January window. Yeah,
absolutely. I've said it before, I'll repeat again. We looked at the schedule in January. Obviously, we didn't know at that point how far our Bristol Street Motors was going to go, but we had high hopes that we would go far in that. And the schedule with the rearranged games was going to prove testing for the group. But with that competition breeds real, competition for places, a fight for a shirt. And I think we've seen that all over the pitch. It's bringing out the best in a good few of them. So long may that continue. It's a tough job at times to make sure that everyone's happy and everyone's getting the game time they need and deserve. But with success, hopefully breeds that competition even further, and we want to have more of these feelings.
Nice moment on Wanderers TV for the listeners and viewers at home was when the double sub came. Joe Jacobson was able to say, well, Matt Butcher's going to be able to get a bit further forward here along with Josh Go, and he was right, because a few minutes later he made the breakthrough. Yeah,
he knows the game, JJ, doesn't he? He's obviously been around and he knows the game. I just felt like we needed to commit another midfield player forward and try and get players slightly higher up the pitch, and we knew that obviously that Richard on the top line would bring us that extra little bit of energy. JJ called it, and I'm glad he did.
Big moment as well at 1-0 just after Wycombe took the lead. Franco again with a really good save, quick off his line.
Yeah, really important save, because if that goes in, then obviously 1-1 with Northampton scoring, it's going to be a tough last period of the game. So a big save from him. I'm really pleased for him, because Franco just does the right thing every day, day in, day out. That consistency of character, the consistency of training load and level of performance that he gives. Him and Maxi have got real good, healthy competition again. So. Really pleased for him. Real big stop. That I think that calmness has been good for us last few games.
And the second goal, again, Matt Butcher, but someone else who perhaps wasn't at the training ground was involved for this one.
Like we just got him, the young lad, for the assist. He's got to get the ball off the cone and give it to Sads. I think I didn't actually see it for the first goal. He's got it and thrown it to Sads, who's thrown it to Butch. So we've got him in the change room. He's just had a nice moment, got all the ball boys in, and the lads want us to sign him up, so hopefully you enjoy that.
Great moment though, for if you're a young kid around the edge of the pitch to have that access anyway, but then to get that afterwards, he must be buzzing.
Yeah, he had a big smile on his face. We pride ourselves, I've been here a long time, we pride ourselves on being a family club, really inclusive, and for those boys, who come day in, game in, game out in the cold and wet, windy weather, and being ball boy. For them to have that moment in with the players, it's the group's in a good place, and we want it to continue a lot more.
The build-up to this game, Wycombe Wanderers were all over the media, trending on socials, etc., for things out of your control and out of the fans' control as well. Has that been a distraction in the build-up to this game?
Not a distraction. It's obviously really exciting news for the players and for myself and for our supporters. I can't stress enough the impact that Rob and Missy and Pete have had for our football club, and Pete and Finney. The Kuig family have been incredible for us. When they took over just pre-COVID, I'm going back a few years, but pre-COVID to enable us to be paid throughout COVID, to take part in the playoffs, to win at Wembley, enjoy the championship season, and now for try and moving this club football forward. They've done an incredible job. I'm really proud that they're a part of our football club. I know that they have the best interests of football at heart as a whole. I'm privy to some information, but not all. But what I do know is that they want the best for us and for Reading, and it's an exciting move for us, and one we should be excited about. And
no midweek fixture this week, but Tuesday night will be a special night here at Adams Park because it's the evening with Joe Jacobson, which promises to be an excellent night. Yeah, Jay's been a close friend of mine for 10 years now, and I couldn't think more highly of him than I do. He's been an incredible player for this football club, incredible servant. Again, another really calm presence around the training ground, a real leader of the group. And I think it's a really proud moment for him. He's been excellent for us, hasn't he, for 10 years now. What a player he's been and what a character he's been. So I'm looking forward to joining him for his celebrations, and he fully deserves it on Tuesday evening. Matt, a big win for the boys and 2 goals for yourself. A good day.
Yeah, excellent end to the week. I know we spoke about it before the game. Obviously, we've had a really positive start to the week, but to finish it off, going to a little break now is massive. And obviously, personally, to get a couple of goals, first 2 league goals for the club, and win the game, it makes it even sweeter. Lovely story with the first one. It was a quick throw by Kieran Sadley, but he was assisted by a ball boy. Yeah, he came in at the end, the ball boy, and everyone was cheering and giving him a little song. So that was nice for him and nice for the lads. But yeah, it was. We talked about it at half time actually. They were kind of slowing the game down a little bit, so any time we had to get the ball back in play and play quick while they're not set up, let's do that. So obviously Sad just recognised that, and the ball boy, so credit to him. And then I just kind of drove forward, and as soon as I saw kind of that space open up, I tried to get it across that way. It was exactly the same spot, I think, from where you scored against Bradford, wasn't it? Yeah, not too dissimilar. Bit of grass, though. Yeah, it didn't take a deflection this time. A few people got onto me last time. But yeah, there's definitely more grass, so I was able to dribble with it a bit better and get my first touch sorted. But yeah, again, I had a nice little angle to see kind of through that gap, so as soon as it got through, I knew I had a good chance. And the second goal, we've all called it as a shot because obviously there's players coming at the back post. Definitely a shot, right? Absolutely, yeah. I know, I got some stick in there as well. It was always going to be a shot. I didn't really know who was in there, to be honest. So I just thought that it's going to be difficult for the keeper to get across that side because he's probably set for a shot, and with all the bodies and stuff, just try to focus on staying calm, and obviously the post in it made it look even better. There's a couple of opportunities in injury time. You had the ball sort of centrally placed outside the area. You didn't fancy going for the hat-trick? I did, yeah. I heard a couple of the shouts from the crowd, but I knew if I shot and it went down the other end, then I'd be getting pelters from the lads. So now at that stage of the game, you've seen it before. If you let them have a little chance or a little bit of momentum, the game can turn. So I think we kept the ball really well in the last period of the game, and stopped them having any kind of major attacks or major counter-attacks. And credit to the gaffer as well, because that double sub early in the second half, it allowed you to get forwards further as well, and you've repaid that change. Yeah, flipped the shape a little bit, so allowed us to kind of central midfielders to get up against there too, because I think they were getting quite a lot of the ball at times. So off the ball, we were able to get closer to them, put a bit more pressure on the ball, and obviously win the ball higher back up. And then when we do turn the ball over, we're in better positions to go and hurt them, which is obviously how I managed to get the first goal. 3 wins on the trot now in the league. We're moving up the league now quickly, which is good to see. No game though next Saturday. With the momentum, is that a frustrating one, or does everyone need a rest? It's a bit of both. I think you always want to keep this momentum and keep this run going. But if you look at the period we've got coming up, it could be vital in terms of performances and keeping people fit. So I think it comes at a good time in terms of that, because since I've come on, we've had a lot of games, a lot of travel, and that's only going to get more in the coming weeks. I think we go Friday Friday, Monday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday to the end. So that's the busiest April that I've ever been involved in or will be involved in. So hopefully this can be really good for us to kind of get some bodies back and make sure everyone's ready to go to Friday.
Joined late in January, safe to say you're enjoying life at Wycombe Wanderers?
Loving it, yeah. Settled in really quick. As you know, everyone associated with the club's been absolutely good as gold, and it's so easy to come in and settle into the group. Obviously, results help off the back of that because it's felt like a positive place to be, and we started to kind of keep them kind of last minute and keep the goals out, and we've been really prolific going forward. So it's been an enjoyable start, and we want to carry that on and not only take momentum into the end of this season, but then set us up for next season as well.
3 wins on the spin and Wycombe move into the top half of the table. But what did the Cobblers fans make of it all? Here's the opposition view. Martin Pell.
Just when you think you can't get any worse, Brady selects a team with 4 centre-backs. I think he's totally lost the plot. The goalkeeper was suspect for 1 goal and the defence was really poor. And as for the attacking play, I've seen better quality in the park. We had absolutely no control in midfield against another very average team. 2 wins in 13 games says it all.
Madrid's Cobbler.
Disappointing today as Wycombe looked bang average and we were as good as them for the whole game really. However, some poor passing when it counted let us down a bit. Not to mention giving away 2 poor goals. Moulden certainly should have stopped the second goal and maybe the first 2.
The Clarets Cobbler.
I try to applaud at the end of every game, but I'm afraid that performance didn't deserve any sort of acknowledgement. It looked like we didn't even want to be there.
Cobblers Coombsy.
Absolutely lifeless performance. These players just don't seem to care now the job is done. For 70 minutes, there was no running or tenacious pressing. We aren't sticking to our principles, and it's really costing us.
Roger Green.
Oh, the Cobblers are in a dire stretch of form at the moment. We're hardly creating any worthwhile chances, and what with a rookie keeper as well, the outcome just seems inevitable.
Whoppets.
It looks like that team spirit, or whatever it was, that kept us in games and saw us come up with late equalisers and winners has disappeared for the moment. We simply have too many injuries and players trying to recapture their form when they do return. Hopefully we can get a good result soon and get out of this rut.
Charlie.
I know we have nothing to play for this season, but it would be nice if they at least tried so I got my money's worth. We're on the beach.
Out of Towner.
No interest or effort from the players again today. Hopefully this attitude doesn't continue for the final games, as they're really beginning to taint what was a decent season.
The Grumpy Old Man.
I'm not going to comment on that game. However, what I will say is if Danny Hilton is fit and champing at the bit, why don't we just give him a go? At the very least, he might wind up the opposition and maybe even galvanise some of our players.
Ragdoll Cobbler.
Oh, well, that was a painful watch. It's now time to play our own players who are contracted for next season, not loanees, in order for them to gain much needed experience and see if they can cut it at League One level. I also hope the recruitment team are actively looking for potential signings in the summer already, as it's going to be an even bigger ask to compete and stay up next season.
Where are you at on the quest for the 92? Yes, the 92 Club, where you go to a game every ground in the top 4 divisions in English football. It's a monumental task, and I dare say a few of you listening to this would have achieved it in the past or hold the current 92 Club record. You have to keep on top of it though because of promotions and relegations. Before the Wigan Athletic game, I spoke to football reporter and commentator Peter Slater. The game at Adams Park completed his set of 92 grounds that he'd worked at as a reporter. Before the game, we had a chat to talk about his journey.
This marks the 92nd ground that I have actually worked on. So all of the current 92 Football League, Premier League clubs I have actually worked on. So it is a special night. Probably not for anybody else, but it's a special night for me.
I think there's a lot of people out there, me included. I know I'm on 76. I've been stuck on 76 for some time. So to meet anybody that's done this, either as a fan or to do it by working at the grounds, it's a big achievement.
Yeah, but I've been around a long time, Phil. You've got to remember that. I mean, I started off in the North East on a local radio station there, so it was mainly Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough. We didn't do many away games then. Then I moved to Ipswich, the great Ipswich Town side of the 1980s, Bobby Robson's side, Muir and Tyson and all that. And that was Division 1. And then I went to 5 Live, and once again, they tended to commentate and report on clubs in the top flight, but because I moved and worked in the north, I got all sorts of odd grounds around and about. And in the last 3 or 4 years, well, I've started working for Radio Manchester. I've started ticking them off, Newport County, Exeter City, Sutton, Forest Green Rovers, all these grounds that I never thought I'd go to. I'd never been to Exeter, and I did them 3 times in one season. I've been to Newport 4 times, even on first name terms with the car park attendant there. But I just love it. And it's great. What a picturesque scene this is with all the trees around. It reminds me a little bit of Huddersfield and the Huddersfield ground with all the trees behind. But this is a very picturesque setting at which to complete my journey.
Isn't football wonderful? Because this is your last as a 92, and Huddersfield's current ground, their opponents on their opening day of the season, was Wycombe Wanderers.
Yeah, it's funny that. I mean, I going back, I remember Huddersfield when they played at Leeds Road, the old stadium just along from there. But it's a state-of-the-art stadium. But I always get a fantastic feeling when I turn up at a new ground. It's absolutely wonderful. I can't remember how many I've done this. Sutton United, I think, was number 91. The problem is, of course, that 2 clubs will go out of the league, 2 clubs will come in, and if it's Barnet or Bromley, then I have to start all over again. But, that's the way it goes, isn't it?
If Chesterfield come up, you've done them, right?
Oh, Chesterfield's my local. I only live 14 miles from Chesterfield, so yeah. And I've also kind of been reflecting on, which are the games that you remember in all that time. And that sometimes you will know as a reporter that you turn up at a game and all of a sudden you're the main story. So I was at Anfield when Michael Thomas scored that second goal for Arsenal. I was at Anfield again when Blackburn won the title. I remember interviewing Kenny Dalglish while he was eating a cheese sandwich. But the one, and it's May the 8th, 1999, right? You'll have no idea where we're going with this. Brunton Park, Carlisle. We're in the last minute of stoppage time. Carlisle are about to go out of the league, and Jimmy Glass, the goalkeeper, scores a goal, and I will never, ever forget that day.
Wonderful. So all these games, like you say, these are memories that you will remember forever. And I'm sure there's more memories to come by the sound of it, because you may have to go to Bromley next season by the look of it.
I have a very good friend, Alistair Yeomans, who's on about 86 or whatever, and it's his local team, and he said, yeah, well, we'll soon spoil it for you because Bromley will go up. But I'm holding out hope from a Radio Manchester point of view that Oldham get into the playoffs, and if Oldham get into the playoffs, they might come up as well. But it's not. And what is really nice, coming around the lower leagues now, I really enjoy it. It's kind of football like I remember it. There's not so much hoopla. There are no foreign TV crews turn up, and that's nothing against foreign TV crews, by the way, but it means that it's much easier for me to do my job. At the end of today, I will go down the touchline. Sean Maloney will come along. He knows me. I know him. We'll conduct a post-match interview, and that's it. And that's how it always used to be. But it's changed. I've been around a long time, mate. I've been out doing this job for nearly 50 years, and it has changed an awful lot. Yeah.
So 50 years to get to the 92?
48, actually. I started in 1976. Very first game I ever did, and you've done radio, so you'll know what it's like. We usually do about a 30-second match report, don't we? 40 seconds if it's World War III. The first game I ever got sent to, St James's Park, Newcastle United against Bristol City, and we were required, and I kid you not, to do a 3-minute match report. It was a goalless draw. It was a terrible game, but somehow I had to do a 3, you know. But and the counter to that is I remember doing final score not too long ago at the Stadium of Light in Sunderland against Coventry. It finished 5-5. You've got to do it in 30 seconds, you know, but it's just the way it is, you know.
So from St James's Park to Adams Park, what a journey.
Absolutely fantastic, and do you know what? I still love every single minute of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
Well, Peter, I know the strict rules with the 92 club. We're 90 minutes before kick-off. The pitch looks great. It has rained a lot today. Until the ball is kicked, you can't count it, right?
Well, funnily enough, my sports editor said to me, and he's only 3 behind me, but he was good enough to give me this, and he said to me, you know, it might get called off. And as I was driving down from the north today, and it was tipping it down, and I thought, oh, God, it might get called off. But no, I think it's going to be all right, isn't it? Let's hope so.
It's a great picture at Adams Park.
Good, lovely. Well, let's hope we have an entertaining 90 minutes, and let's hope it's not like it was at my first game with a boring goalless draw. At least I won't have to do 3 minutes at the end of it.
OK, it's Till Death Us Do Part. This is where we speak to fans of our glorious club to find out about their favourite memories. Because it's a bit like being married. Football club, you choose them and they are yours for life through the good times and the bad, and I suppose the interesting times which we're going through at the moment. Joining us this week, delighted to say, Simon Rumble. Simon, how are you?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us. Your friend Darren, I would say put you forward, but I would probably more say dropped you in it.
Well, yeah, he was trying to persuade me to get on it because he thought I'd be funnier than him. So we'll see if that's true. And then took me out for a few beers before the Stevenage game and got me to agree.
All right, you're looking resplendent in a pro-star Wycombe Wanderers kit. Where does your story with the Chairboys begin? Where did it all start?
Well, so yeah, I mean, back in very young sort of 8-year-old, so 1977. First game I ever watched was Liverpool Borussia Mönchengladbach European Cup final, and of course, being a young impressionable lad, I started to support Liverpool, which sort of went through, as you'll know, the early 80s was when they were, you know, the team. My old man wasn't too happy about that, but he wasn't a proper Wycombe fan at the time, although he supported Wycombe since a boy and was at some of the very old games. So he started to take me to the odd game. And then in 1982, I'd say 2 things happened, which sort of blue washed me effectively. So the first was my dad used to get the odd Chelsea ticket, corporate ticket. So he got me in Chelsea-Liverpool FA Cup game. Because it was corporate, I got to meet the team as I come off the bus. I got Bruce Grobbelaar, Kenny Dalglish, Ian Rush's autograph. Would have got Graham Souness's, only he didn't take the lid off the pen. Gave me my book back. And then about halfway through the second half, I think Liverpool losing 2-0. We're sat about 15 feet from the Chelsea pensioners. Sammy Lee's taking a throw in down below us, and this little voice shouts out, "Come on, you Reds!" in the Chelsea end. I think that was the moment my dad thought, right, this boy needs blue washing. So that was 1982, and it so happens that was the year we started secondary school, and I met a young Mr. Keeping, and Julian and Rob as well, who were born in Wycombe, and sort of from there through to 1988 when I went to college, I just went to more and more games.
There we are. It's like a lot of us. I went with all my mates from school as well, and we're still in contact now. We've got a WhatsApp group about all the games and what's going on at the club. And that's the beautiful thing about football, I guess. It gives us all a reason to keep in touch and keep the discourse regular.
Exactly. And those same guys, 42 odd years, we've got a curry at my house day before Wembley. So there you go.
Smashing. Oh, lovely stuff. So you go back to the Lokes Park here. I know that from what Darren said as well, but the early 80s too. Let's go then with your favourite Wycombe Wanderers memory, because you've got a whole host of things you could put in here.
I know. Do you know what? I had a short list. So, you know, Dave Carroll's goal against Preston, the Wimbledon penalties, Roy Eason-Doe, Man City away, Lincoln away, Torquay away. But I've got to say my favourite memory, or the one that sticks in my mind, and I've no idea if anyone measured this and whether he would have got a medal in the Olympics. So you might be able to guess where I'm going with this one. That tackle, that Jason tackle, I can still see him running. I can still see him taking off. I can still see him basically cutting the man in half. and getting that red card, that just sticks in my memory because he was one of my favourite players. He'd be in my all-time five-a-side for sure.
Absolutely, me too. And the wonderful thing now, I think in this day and age with AI, etc., and the camera angle we've got, I think we could probably work out if he'd have qualified for the long jump in the Olympics from the takeoff point to where he landed. There must be ways that we can do this in modern science.
You'd have thought so. You'd have thought so. And then, of course, you found out years later that he got thrown out the changing room naked after that one. Yeah.
It was a wonderful time because can you imagine if that happened in this day and age? The person he tackled or assaulted, probably closer to the mark, would probably still be on the turf now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think if you look at it closely, he sort of basically misses it. So it was intent that he got sent off for rather than the actual damage he did. But he was just a player who gave it 110% every game, really passionate. Also remember him picking Michael Owen up by the scuffs when he dived at Villa Park.
It was a phenomenal time, and that was his second red card in a row as well, because he got sent off against Colchester, I think, which was a little bit more unfortunate, a bit dubious. I think it was a handball. But Martin banned him from the club, didn't he, for 2 weeks after throwing him out of the shower. Do you then remember the game he came back against Coventry? Because I still think that's one of the best ever performances in a quarter shirt I've ever seen.
I don't actually know. I mean, the other memory that sticks out for him was obviously the first goal against Runcorn at Wembley, because he literally ran over and jumped up right below us at Wembley.
So you had the perfect view of that. I mean, it's an iconic photograph.
Yeah.
What did it look like with him bearing down on you? He would look like an absolute madman at the time.
He did. Well, I knocked my old man's glasses off, so we were more worried about that after he jumped up the thing. But yeah, that was that, and again, that could have been a memory as well.
He's definitely a huge cult hero, I think, Jason Cousins. And the tackle, I think, definitely, it comes around every year. I think it's almost that tackle day. It goes up online again, and everybody. I wrote an article about it for Shortlist years ago, and apparently it spikes every year, and on the anniversary, which is nice, and a wonderful story. And also, we should give a big shout out to Keith Scott, now Jason's brother-in-law, for protesting that it shouldn't have been a second yellow and a red card.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember if Darren met, but Keith managed Leighton Buzzard, I live in Leighton Buzzard, so he managed Leighton Buzzard for a few years.
Oh yeah, he's a top guy. Right, that's a wonderful start then with something old, Jason Cousins. On to something new. Who's your favourite player in the current squad?
Yeah, again, this is a bit of a tough one. So, I mean, the obvious answer is Josh Scowen by a country mile, but you sort of expect him to be brilliant. So I was going to go for the player that I think's impressed me the most this season, and that's got to be Freddie Potts.
Yeah,
I think he's come into the team and he's got that maturity. He's got that touch. Got some of the little tricks. His passing's been brilliant. So I think he would be up there for that reason.
He's got a lot, isn't he? Because he can be put into a really tight corner in the middle of midfield, and he just drops his shoulder, and he's away from 2 or 3 players. He did it again on Saturday several times.
He did, yeah.
It's wonderful to watch. You like me that when you first see a player that's got that ability and you kind of see them do something and you think, hold on a minute, this guy's going to be really special. And it could just be something really innocuous, but they just seem to have so much time, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And we've had some great players in the past that fit into that mould as well.
But are you not worried about falling in love with a loanee and perhaps seeing him somewhere else next year?
Yeah, well, I think that's become part and parcel of football at League One level for the last few years. You need those loan players to push you on. I think what we've done well as a club is we continue to get them in the door, and I think we'd now be seen as trusted with them. And we've had some crackers. I mean, look at what Eberechi is doing at Crystal Palace now.
Yeah.
So I think we've had some real great loanees that, and if that can continue, then there shouldn't be a problem because we'll find another 2 Pottsies next year.
We've mentioned this a few times on this feature, but when loanees like Ebbs go and do things and get in the England squad and score wonderful goals on Match Today, I sit there with a sort of a glowing pride almost, even though we never owned them.
Exactly, yeah. Like Mike Williamson ended up at Newcastle. All sorts of. Roger Johnson went on. Alfie obviously went on, came back. Yeah. I'm with you.
And a lot of people do come back as well. So we could see Potsy again. By the time we get in the Premier League, we might be in a position to sign him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I mean, for anyone who hasn't read the book, that really comes out in the book, the championship book, around the culture at the club and how
Mm.
that just sets us apart, I think, from a lot of other clubs.
Absolutely. Well, Potsy, if you're listening to this, we'll be catching you up hopefully, and we'll see you a bit later in your career when you can come and grace Adams Park again.
Absolutely.
Right, it's so we've got Jason Cousin and Freddie Potts, which is fantastic. Onto something borrowed, which it could be your favourite loanee, which you've already put Potsy in, or
Yeah.
player that we should have signed or wished that we'd signed, but we never did.
Well, again, I thought about this one. I tell you what, I can tell you the worst loanee we've ever had, and whilst he was an absolute legend in his career, that Alan Smith era. I don't know if you remember the game where Ray Wilkins turned up for a game, basically
One-
stood in the corner circle and did nothing.
One
Called
game,
it,
yeah.
You know, but that'd be the worst. But for the best, I'm assuming I'm allowed someone who came on loan and was then signed.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Because for
that's
me,
allowed.
because he'd be in my top five-a-side team as well, is one Martin Taylor, who was first on loan for 4 games, I believe,
Ah,
and then obviously signed and stayed on. But what a player he was as a goalkeeper.
incredible goalkeeper. And it was one of those great stories as well that great for us, not for him, but that serious injury, I
Yeah.
think, prevented him from probably playing at the top level for
At
much
the
longer
higher
than he
level.
did. Yeah.
Exactly. And of course, the Wimbledon penalties was on my list of memories as well. I never
Yeah.
forget that night. Alan Parry nearly fell off the scaffolding above us doing the commentary.
I was speaking to Alan Parry on Saturday in the Legends Lounge, and we were talking about his favourite commentaries because his was a Liverpool commentary, but I said his favourite commentary of mine was that game at Selhurst Park because
Yeah.
he was there covering it, I think, for Sky, and I was like, you weren't very impartial that night, but I don't think many people wanted you to be either. But he was like, he said he held his hands up. He got caught in the emotion of the whole thing because it was just an incredible, not just the penalties, the entire match and the
Yeah.
entire night was just an incredible sort of
It
roller
was.
coaster ride of emotions.
Well, I mean, we missed their goal because we were late in because the traffic was so appalling to get to the ground. So, it was one of those nights.
And we all know who scored that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gaz,
Exactly.
unbelievable, isn't it? How football does all of these things. The Wimbledon game often comes up in these chats. It's that sort of folklore thing. When you consider that we had Filbert Street and then Villa Park, everyone always goes on about that night at Wimbledon. But Martin Taylor in the semi-final, I mean, we were 0-0 until what, 78 minutes. He was magnificent that day too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's one again. You could look back as a memory. I mean, the fact that they had to bring Heskey and Fowler on to beat us said it all, really.
Yeah, and Martin Taylor made save after save, and also in true Wycombe style, it was his long ball forwards that got the flick on, that got the goal from Rhino as
And
well.
I'm still convinced to this day, if we'd have played 5 more minutes, we'd have equalised.
What was your emotion like? My emotion at the final whistle was one of abject disappointment, which was absolutely on paper was ridiculous. We've just lost to Liverpool 2-1, and I was absolutely gutted.
No, I just felt pride. I mean, again, full circle back to watching the club that you first started supporting against the club that you've adopted and loved for 42 years.
Of course, yeah.
I just loved it. I never expected to win. I thought we were brilliant, and I thought we were a bit unlucky that maybe we could have snuck it if it had been a couple more minutes.
Yeah, had we got that equaliser, then there would have only been one winner, surely.
Well, no, I don't. I'm not convinced we'd held out in extra time.
We will never know. That's the beauty of football.
We will never know.
Everyone would have played it out in their own minds and had their own conclusions. That's the wonderful thing about football. Well, this is a pretty good team we've got here already. Jason Cousins, Freddie Potts, and Martin Taylor. That's pretty tasty. We're on to the merchandise now, though. What would we be all wearing or doing or whatever? Something blue. Now, this can either be your favourite piece of club merchandise or an idea that the club's missing out on that should be stocking in the shop.
Yeah. Well, I go for something. I mean, again, I've got a few. So I've got my Torquay ticket, which is on the shelf over my right shoulder.
Beautiful.
Not that your listeners can see it, but the shirt I'm wearing has long sleeves, and the reason it's got long sleeves is because it's an official club top, as in team top. Because back in 2006-7, I think it was, the club did a 12th man thing where it sponsored like a package that you could buy. So I did that. I'm not sure many people did it. So yeah, I got this top given to me by Will Antwi. Met Paul Lambert, Not that I understood a word he said. And, you know, we had a dinner, we had a lovely time. Just a shame the club unfortunately put me as Mark Rumble, not Simon Rumble, in the programme.
Oh,
But they did make up for it by having me back for another slap up meal a couple of weeks later. But that was good. But I think the number one would have to be, and you probably can't see it over my shoulder, but I've got the replica tile from the Wycombe wall, which
nice.
we obviously, you had to think about the phrase that you would have on it. And let me just go and get it because I can't remember it exactly. But effectively, it's got effectively Bud keeping Rumble, so Julian and Darren, who I've mentioned before, Lokes to Adams forever, 40 years and counting. So that would probably be my number one, I think.
That's tremendous. And one of those is on the wall at Adams Park.
And one of them's obviously on the wall at Adams Park. Yeah, exactly.
Super. Well, that's
Which
brilliant
I
as
thought was
well.
a brilliant thing that the club did.
I was thinking because Darren also mentioned that you were sort of in proportion to Terry Evans. I can only see your head and shoulders here, but you're a big lad, and I was hoping that shirt would have been a Terry Evans one.
Well, yeah. Funnily enough, I met Terry Evans when I did the 12th Man piece. He came and slapped me on the back and said "Rumble in the Jungle" and sort of shook his hand. He is massive. I mean, he was about as tall as me, but he must have been a foot wider than me. Yeah, one of the very few people who've made me feel small.
I guess no one likes standing behind you on the terrace either.
No, or at concerts, or anywhere. Yeah, exactly.
You're that guy, aren't you? I think I've stood behind you at some concert or other, definitely.
Yeah.
While you've got us with us as well,
Yeah.
I understand there's an amazing story involving Watchdog, but not Lionel Richie, which I'm intrigued by massively.
Oh, right. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, this was back in 1999, and our Sky Dish blew. That's how it starts. So this engineer turns up. I open the front door. He goes, "What box you got?" I went, "Amstrad." He went, "They're a pile of shit. That's what's wrong with it." Came in, sort of diagnosed it. So I was really angry. Wrote to Watchdog, thinking nothing will ever happen. And then one of their researchers gave me a bell and was asking about stuff. And I just happened to make this joke that because the Sky had gone, I wouldn't be watching the football on the weekend. I'd have to talk to my fiance about planning the wedding. So that was, of course, the hook that they thought that would make a story. So so they brought a film crew around, asked me to bring a couple of mates, so Julian and Rob, who I've mentioned before. The three of us were sat on the couch in our Wycombe shirts. They dubbed a Rhino goal onto the TV, and then it sort of went black, made us look at each other like, what the hell's going on now? And then really cornerly had me in the bedroom with a Bride magazine and sort of looking very sheepishly like I'm going to have to plan my wedding now. And so that's how we got onto Watchdog. And then ironically, that was just coming into the year 2000, and our wedding day was the 18th of November 2000. I'm sure you know what Wycombe did that day, which was 3-0 against Harrow, first game on the way to the semi-final.
Yes, first round of that FA Cup.
That sort of ties it back in there.
It all fits in perfectly. That's the other great thing about football. So that was also the start of you becoming a married man as well.
It was indeed, exactly.
Alan Sugar's got a lot to answer for, isn't he?
Nice easy to remember because it's 2000, so I just need to take the 2 off and can't get that one wrong.
Well, and it's
and
also
all those mates I talked about. Sorry, go on.
This also predates Lionel Richie at Adams Park then. So you were the first Wycombe Wanderers appearance on Watchdog.
Oh, was I? Oh,
I think it predates Lionel at Adams Park.
Yeah, right.
I need to double check my facts on
back
this.
End of 99 or the start of 2000.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure I think, we shall look into this. We need to make sure, we need to verify these facts because it's obviously very important that we know who was first on Watchdog. Well, if we'd have tied it all together perfectly, then Lionel should have sung at your wedding in the Woodlands Lounge.
We tried to get you too, but they wouldn't come. So
there you go. Well, Bono or Lionel. I mean, I know who I'd rather have a beer with. There we go. Simon, it's been wonderful. Like most things with these things, you start with the framework of these conversations. You end up talking about Watchdog and Sky and getting married and all your mates and everything else. Isn't football wonderful?
It is. It is absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
And that's before we've even started talking about what goes on the pitch as well. Everything that goes on around it is what makes it's the fabric of our society, in my opinion. Simon, thank you so much for joining us on Ringing the Blues. And I look forward to seeing you. I won't be able to miss you, will I, now, Adams Park? I'll be looking out for you.
I will be at Blackpool. Most of those people I've mentioned will be at Blackpool away. So, because Darren's going to come down from Glasgow. So, might see you there.
Cheers, Simon. Right, that's your lot for this week's show. Many thanks to Simon Rumble, to Peter Slater, and you for listening in. Lots of news going on around the club at the moment. Thursday night, we're planning on having a Q&A with the chairman, Rob Couhig. Let's see what the next developments are for Wycombe Wanderers. In the meantime, come on, you Blues.